Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join this presentation. My name is Agastya Pranandita, and today we will be examining key economic challenges and strategic insights vital to the future success of our organization in the global market. Our focus will be on translating complex economic forces into actionable business strategies. Let's begin. To manage the unique risk of our whiskey business, we rely on three core macroeconomic indicators. First, gross domestic product or GDP measures the health of our market. Strong GDP growth confirmed consumers have the disposable income necessary to sustain demand for our premium single malts. Second, the inflation rate directly tracks the rising cost of our inputs, like oak barrels and glass bottles. Proactive monitoring here is essential to adjust our pricing swiftly and protect our profit margins. Third, the unemployment rate serves as our consumer confidence barometer. Low unemployment underpins the consumption stability required to sell high margin, discretionary products. These indicators guide our business cycle strategy. During economic expansions, rising GDP, falling unemployment, we maximize distillation and strategically increase prices to meet rising demand. Conversely, during contraction, slowing GDP, rising unemployment, we immediately pivot to risk mitigation. We reduce capital projects and aggressively market our value tier blends, recognizing that consumers trade down during recessions. Ultimately, precise analysis of these three factors allow us to manage long-term inventory risk and ensure margin protection. The strategic foresight moves us from merely reacting to economic volatility to proactively anticipating and securing our market position. In the short run, the effect is straightforward a big shot of cash into the economy. Since every Australian receives a tax cut, disposable income rises, consumer confidence improves, and consumption increases. In the ADAS framework, this is represented by the aggregate demand curve shifting right from 80 to 81. As a result, real GDP rises from Y0 to Y1 and the general price level increases from P0 to P1. This is a classic short run expansion caused by higher demand, often called demand pull inflation. For our whiskey company, this short run phase is beneficial. Higher household spending, especially on discretionary and premium goods, means stronger sales. We should intensify marketing and sales pushes now to capture the temporary demand uplift. Over the longer horizon, the temporary boost in output is unlikely to persist because demand pushed real output above the economy's potential, resource markets tighten, low unemployment, higher utilization. As wages and input prices adjust upward to reflect higher cost of living and stronger demand for labor and materials, the short run aggregate supply curve shifts leftward from SRAS 0 to SRAS 1. The long run aggregate supply, or LRAS, which represents potential output, remains at Y0. So the economy returns to its potential output level, Y0, at a new equilibrium, E2. The lasting effect is a higher price level, now P2, but no permanent increases in real GDP. In other words, the growth was temporary, while the price level and many input costs ended up higher. In the long run, rising wages, energy, and raw material costs like barrels, glass, or transport create cost push pressure that can squeeze profit margins. To respond, we should first improve operational efficiency and productivity, example like automation, better inventory management. Two, renegotiate supplier contracts and hedge energy or commodity costs. And number three, adjust product mix over premium lines short term and cost efficient core lines long term to protect margins. For our Australian whiskey company, the tariff represents a severe challenge characterized by a significant drop in export volume and overall revenue from the crucial US market. Our product is immediately made less competitive and more expensive relative to domestically produced alternatives. The reduced margin we retain, potentially after absorbing some of the tariff costs to maintain market presence, will further stress our profitability. To mitigate its impact, our organization must urgently implement a strategy of market diversification, aggressively shifting sales focus and marketing resources away from the now expensive US market towards growing tariff free regions, particularly in Asia Pacific. Furthermore, we must enhance operational efficiency to reduce base costs, ensuring we maintain global price competitiveness despite the trade barrier imposed by the US. The imposition of a tariff by the United States on Australian whiskey fundamentally alters the US market equilibrium, as visualized in the supply and demand model. The tariff shifts the effective price paid by US consumers from the world price or PW to the tariff price or PT, resulting in a clearer distribution of welfare. The primary beneficiaries are the US domestic whiskey producers, who now face less competition and can increase their production and profitability, securing an increased producer surplus. Simultaneously, the US government benefits by collecting custom revenue in Area E. Conversely, the main losers are the US consumers, who must pay a higher price and reduce their consumption, and the exporting countries' producers, like our Australian Whisky Company, which sees its export volume drastically shrink from imports 1 to imports 2. Crucially, the tariff creates a net loss for the US economy, known as deadweight loss, in areas D and F, representing the inefficiency of overproducing domestically and underconsuming overall. Our Australian Whisky organization can gain a critical competitive advantage by moving beyond traditional economic models and actively applying the principles of behavioral economics. We recognize that market decisions are systematically influenced by cognitive biases, and by understanding how these biases operate, we can craft superior business strategies. Our first application focuses on pricing and sales velocity by leveraging the framing effect and relative thinking. Consumers rarely evaluate a price in isolation. Instead, they rely on relative thinking to assess value by comparing it to available reference points. Our strategy is to deliberately frame our core premium line priced at $150 by placing it alongside an ultra premium collector's edition priced significantly higher, perhaps at $999. This dramatically more expensive item acts as a psychological reference point. As a result, the $150 single malt is immediately framed in the consumer's mind as the relatively good value option. This manipulation of perceived value overcomes price resistance, validates their purchase decision, and ultimately ensures strong sales volumes for the high margin products that drive our organizational revenue. Our second strategic application focuses on increasing market share through the availability bias. This bias demonstrates that people make decisions based on the information or brands that are easiest to recall, those that are the most salient, recent, and frequently encountered. To counteract competitors, our organization must make a conscious business decision to prioritize spending that maximizes brand availability at the point of decision. This requires an aggressive marketing allocation towards achieving premium visibility, including securing prime shelf space, utilizing end of aisle displays in retail, and maintaining a high frequency presence in digital advertising. By dominating the consumer's short term memory through relentless exposure, we ensure that when the consumer faces the complex choice of selecting a whiskey, our Australian brand is the easiest and most available example that comes to mind, securing us the crucial, irrational, impulsive purchase. Before we conclude, please take a moment to review the following slides. Here you will find the comprehensive bibliography and sources which underpin the data and economic models used throughout this presentation, ensuring the robustness and credibility of the analysis. That's the end of the presentation. Thank you once again for your focus and valuable time. Have a great day.